Ba ba da ba 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 da 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 da. Hello, it's working. Hi everyone. So it's me back again because I'm here like every day. So I was thinking about this tree life card, and now I gotta blow my nose, but it's fine. And so I'm looking at it, and I realize because I saw the K and the Q yesterday, I'm like, I don't know what that means. Well, and then I saw the KN, I was like, what? So two, oops, hold up, wait, I gotta hold it my way. There we go. So two is the king, three is the queen, six is the knight, 10 is the page. And then between them, we see Roman numerals, and the zero is really a giveaway, which are the major arcana. So, how am I doing this? I wanted to build a tree, right? Just to see what we kind of sort of have going on. And I'm trying to decide if I want ace, 5, 4, 7, 8, 9, king, queen, knight, page, and just pull the first one from each one. But these are also colored. So red could be fire, right? Blue is water. Orange could be air. Green could be earth. Our pentacles, earth. And then the 1 and the 9 would be the only two. The white of 1 is definitely a spirity major arcana energy. And I guess the crown is purple. So that's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to shuffle this up. I'm going to pull the first king, the first queen, the first of each thing that I just said. And we're going to build this tree out. Oh. I'm still asleep. I'm not necessarily woke all the way up yet. Ooh. I'm a little tired, but I slept good. I guess I'm recovering from this whirlwind of a few days. So let's do this. I'll give this 10 since that. Oh, okay. Or when the first card comes out. Let's see. I don't have this light on. Where's my finger? There we go. I don't have that light on, so it may be a little dark. Oh, there's the first card. Oh, it's the Page of Coins. I actually love that it's the Page of Coins because I feel like this energy has been coming out. Or it came out a minute ago, and it is the Scholar of Realms. So the Page of Coins, it's all about us, in this context at the very least. It's all about us learning to put emotional, spiritual, and mental principles together to create an experience with more awareness. I think sometimes it's like we could go heavy into the spiritual or we could go heavy into the emotional. But for me, earth is a combination of all elements. And so you need a certain combination of all elements to get something to grow. The earth, or the air, the fire, and the water, rather than just like the water or just the fire or just the air. Because that's when you get things that may not necessarily, it's like they may not be balanced enough in their, I want to say constitution, but in their constitution to handle a variety of situations. And so it's like if you're water weak or if you're water poor, then something emotional happens and like the whole thing falls apart. Or if you're air poor, then it's like there's something that happens that you could have sort of foreseen, but you did it and it falls apart. If you're fire poor, then it's like it just loses its spark and then like you just kind of sort of let it go, right? And so it's sort of having them all sturdy enough that it can withstand a lot of things. I don't know what that noise was. I'm also not listening to anything, but if you've seen me, you probably know that. If you're asking me why I'm wearing these, if I'm not listening to anything, then you're learning me. I'll call these out as I put these down. Oh, you can see them. The Page of Pentacles is down here, by the way. BT Dubs, the Page of Pentacles is down here. The Magician is the first major, and it's one, which again I feel like fits this energy. The Seven of Wands is the first fire card, which is interesting. The Sun is the second major. So we have our two majors, the 1 and the 9, from the Magician to the Sun. And I love that it goes from the Magician to the Sun, because it's something that we create, and then it's like it's birthed into the world for us to interact with in some way. I also love that, like, this energy right here, love that. So our first water energy is the 10 of Cups. Oh, and it's 19. The Sun is. Oh, our first earth energy is the 2 of Pentacles. I wish I had a little bit more room, but it's fine. It's fine. Oh, we got a Pisces Jupiter thing going on. That's pretty cool. Our first air energy is the Ace of Swords, which we saw twice yesterday. Oh, snap. The Fool is in the middle of the world. There we go. And you see all the elements around it. This is probably my favorite world card now, or one of my faves. Who else am I looking for? Oh, snap. Hold up, wait. Our first queen was the Queen of Wands. I see this Queen of Pentacles, this Queen of Coins. I'm like, hold up, wait. She literally came out earlier. Our first queen is the Queen of Wands. So we got the Queen of Wands, the Seven of Wands, and the Ace of Swords as the left branch, the branch of severity, I think. With Gavura, no. Yeah, with Gavura, judgment in the heart. So the pillar of severity is the Queen of Wands, the Seven of Wands, and the Ace of Swords. I don't think I've seen a king yet. I need a knight and a king. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, a knight and a king. I don't think I've seen either yet. I don't know how I just set that entire Queen of Wands down and like did not see her, but that's fine. Oh, the King of Cups. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, because this King of Cups comes out super frequently as well. So the Pillar of Mercy is the King of Cups, the 10 of Cups, and the 2 of Pentacles. I feel like these are very true to their, at least as to how I saw them talked about in the Angelarium Oracle of the Watchers. Pillar of Severity, Pillar of Mercy, and then the path in between, right? And now I'm just looking for a knight to put at the heart of it all. The Knight of Wands. Okay. It looks like the Knight of Wands is riding. I would say it looks like a dragon, but the tail doesn't seem quite right. Actually, it may be like a combination of an Eastern and Western dragon. And it's an armored dragon, so that's interesting. I'm not going to look at these. Well, bottom of the deck is the Knight of Coins. It looks like Pisces, Aries, Taurus on the Knight of Coins. Looks like it might be the moon and the sun on this Knight of Wands. Eve, good morning. How are you doing today? How are you? So this is our tree of life. So for the majors, we have the Magician and the Sun, which is gorgeous, which are gorgeous. The Queen is the Queen of Wands. The King is the King of Cups. The fire is the Seven of Wands. The water is the Ten of Cups. The air is the Ace of Swords. The earth is the Two of Pentacles, Two of Coins. The knight is the Knight of Wands. And the page is the Page of Coins. That's Mercury and the Sun here. I love that we have like these watery elements. Oh, well, okay, so these elements are these elements, right? It's also interesting though, because in this way, oh, a cool front. I read that as a cool font. I was like, what? There's a new font out there? I'm glad to hear that because it was a little warm over here, so I can only imagine how it was in Texas. It's been warm all over again. I love that we have like the King of Cups over this feminine energy with earth and water. And then we have the Queen of Wands over this masculine energy with air and fire. Thank you. I'm excited. It seems like they're ready to hire. Um, so it's probably going to be a little hectic for a minute, but I've worked jobs like that, and it also comes with a lot of opportunity. So I got to be on my best behavior. I got to be networking. I got to be everything. And if I can be everything, it feels like it shortcuts the process in a really beautiful way. Well, shortcuts the process, but it gets me to where I'm going. So anyway, and I guess I interviewed with the person that I'd be working under, and she seemed really cool. I actually liked her a lot. Um, I talked about World of Warcraft in my interview. Did not expect that at all. But it's where I learned to be a team player. Anyway. I feel like this tree is just like, it feels like there's this very cooperative energy in the Pillar of Mercy with the King of Cups, the Ten of Cups, the Two of Pentacles. I feel like the King of Cups, team player. The King of Cups, the Ten of Cups, and the Two of Pentacles is the team player. This is a king who will sacrifice in order for the betterment of all, in order for the betterment of everyone, because this king knows, understands, believes, pick a word, that when his family and his kingdom is thriving, when his family and his people are thriving, then he thrives and his kingdom thrives, right? And so it feels like there are these choices and decisions that other kings would struggle in some way to make, but with the prioritization of like other people or with the inclusion of people into the equation, it feels like he actually balances this beautifully. And it feels like there's this energy here that's like, and this is also one of the only Two of Pentacles cards where it seems like the pentacles are like in balance. And it feels like these two pentacles in balance actually gives rise to whatever this giant globy thing, wire framey globy thing that is like rising from the water. It feels like this balance actually creates the opportunity for like greater than. It's like, look at the size of these two and then look at the size of these, like this thing, like you'd never even guess. And so the scholar, oh my gosh, is this the scholar of the people? King of Cups with the Ten of Cups? Yeah, very much that. And it is a little I mean, not a little, it probably is very challenging in some aspects. But it feels like for the King of Cups it's easier. Because he knows what matters. He knows what's important to him. On the other side, we have the Queen of Wands, the Seven of Wands, and the Ace of Swords. And it feels like the Seven of Wands and the Ace of Swords are like fighting each other. Oh, I forgot I don't have to do that anymore. It looks like they're fighting each other. But the truth is always going to be what the truth is. We can do whatever like we want to do up here with this Mars and Leo energy, but the truth is what the truth is, and it does not change. Now, an organic truth does change, right? A truth that deepens the more we sort of learn and understand and grow. Like, yeah, that changes. But this kind of truth doesn't change. Yeah, see, this is really interesting. I just finished, I watched like half of Russ Wrestling Around's Fig Tree video before. I watched the second half today because I haven't had much time to do like much of anything. Me too. So this Steph is the Steph with an F, Eve. Just throwing that out there. Steph with an F. Like they add, like I didn't necessarily like I like to just know, but the way that like they were playing last night, I'm like, ooh, I love that. I love it. This reminds me of that. You're fine, Eve. I was just like, at first I wasn't gonna say anything, but I was like, well, if Steph watches it, then you know. I remember, girl. I remember. Anyway, Evening Sky. Eve is just like Evening Sky. Well, actually, Eve, I believe that her moniker is all one word on display. It is, but I'm kidding. With that dragon breath, this is the side of the tree that's being purified right now. And it's the feminine side of the tree, which I think is like super interesting because from a lot of the twin flamey stuff that I saw, whenever it's like masculine and feminine, the feminine's the one that's like, oh, I'm carrying all the weight, I'm doing the growth and the ascension for the both of us. But at least here, the feminine is the one being purified by dragon flame. The masculine is the one that's actually, you know, in somewhat of a decent order. It's this feminine that fights the truth of what she receives, maybe because of what she desires and what she wants. And it is the Knight of Wands. So her desires are actually preventing her from proceeding any further. And This may have to be a deck that I use sometime sparingly because I feel like this is a trigger happy deck. Like I would have loved this deck when I was early in my journey, when I was like, I want to be triggered because I want to be free. And a trigger lets me know what I need to be free of in some way, right? But it's like her desires and fighting, like her desires are so strong that it keeps her from seeing the truth. This is a very what do they call it? It's not selective listening, confirmation bias. This is a very like confirmation biasy type of energy. And it can be a shadow side of Sagittarius. And the Knight of Wands is here. And it's purifying right now because the dragon plane. Ooh. I don't want to be the trigger though. Like I want everyone to live a life that they feel happy and free in. But I don't necessarily want to trigger people. But in order for a lot of us to get there, we kind of need to be triggered. We have to look at the things that we've either grown to just accept, or we have to look at the things that we found comfort in. And if they don't actually serve us, then it's like, well, that's a choice that we can make. We can be comfortable in the discomfort and the disharmony and the chaos, or we can do what we need to do to actually get where we want to go. And it's all about choices. It's also interesting that in this sundial, the shadow falls to this side. The light is being cast on this side, the shadow falls on this side. Because again, between the magician and the sun, they're holding it in the like, you see that? They're both up there. One is blue, one is yellow. That could be solar light, moonlight. And again, it's interesting because the side of the narrative that's been doing the most work is the one that's like it's under the most scrutiny right now. And to me, this is one of the reasons why knowing something, it's this like 50-50 type of thing. It's like we don't know anything. I feel like we're not necessarily permitted to know anything before our time to know is there. But this is one of the dangers of like getting to know something before you know how to like use it or interact with it or work with it. This is why I respect the silence of the high priestess. Because it's this energy of like, well, I know that this is gonna happen. I know that that's gonna happen. But it's like this is where a feminine intuition and knowing starts to work against her if she isn't balanced within herself. Because what'll happen is it's like she may tap into this future potential and she places her knowing there, but she doesn't do anything to move herself into the future. So she stays stagnant while expecting for the future to come to her, like counting down the days. Hey, Stephanie. She stays stuck there counting down the days until that future becomes now. But it's not something that's time based, it's progression based. You move into the future doesn't come towards you. That's, all your yesterdays have but lighted fools the way to dusty death. Because where's the progression? Where's the movement? Meanwhile, like this energy has been like living life, going through experiences and growing in a more, it's a heart way and it's a balanced way here. It's like there's no movement here. And there's balance here. Yeah. And it can partially be, like, well, so for myself, it's one of those like, well, if I know everything, Like, I very much so get triggered. Like, for me, one of the things that's always triggered me the most is opportunity. It's happiness. I used to always be the person that's like, I don't want to be happy because I know that happiness isn't permanent. And I'd rather be continuously miserable than to have moments of joy and to crash after. Um, and even now, like with this opportunity, my brain goes to not a million and one, my brain goes to like two or three different things that could not work in my favor. But my brain also goes to like two or three solutions that very much so make it like non issues. Because like I don't like what my concerns were in the past, they're no longer valid in the present. And so although that hesitation can still be there because I held on to it for so long, it's like I realize how deflated it is. And I know what I want. And for me, it's like I'm not going to allow those to be a reason why I don't go forward. And so, for all that I do know, or for all that I do believe, Kizzy Cat, hey, for all that I do know and believe, I know that I'm still in the process of becoming more. And so now, if we look at this page of coins, and again, the page of coins is dependent upon the harmony of the elements to really grow and flourish. It seems like the water is in position, but the air and the fire is not. And it's interesting because again, it's like those are masculine elements in this. These are the feminine elements. The feminine elements are primed and positioned and ready, but the feminine elements are falling under the King of Cups, which is the most feminine king. And then the masculine elements are at odds with each other. The desires and the knowing are like they can't get on the same page. And then it's under this Queen of Wands. And the Queen of Wands, I feel like the Queen of Swords would be the most masculine king because swords is like prime masculine energy, where for me, whereas water is like prime feminine energy. But there's something about the way that the masculine appears in the world that makes fire its prime, because fire is all about getting it. And we typically view masculine energies as the ones that get it, right? Not just the ones who are like, purely logical and analytical and just like, well, it has to make sense and intuition, like what is that in its shadow or in its lesser light? Because in its greater light, it understands that there are things that it doesn't know, and it doesn't discredit something just because it doesn't know it. If it did that, it would be a very foolish King of Swords. But anyway, like these two can't get on the same page. And so this feels like a stuck page of coins. It feels like a tree where it's like we can see all of the better coming. The Queen of Wands makes you think of quiet fire. Well, this feels more like Queen of Wands in her shadow, though. This feels like a Queen of Wands with an like insatiable desire, constantly desiring more and more and more and more, almost with no bounds and with no limits. Or there's something that she desires that it's either the cost of acquiring it is too high, the way she's going about it is completely off, or it's something that she's not meant to have. And again, it goes back to that perpetual desire. And that's why this Knight of Wands with its dragon, it's like it's purifying. It almost feels like this Knight of Wands is presenting this Queen of Wands with a situation that she cannot handle. There's something undeniable about this Knight of Wands coming in on the dragon breathing fire, where the Queen of Wands will like debate this Ace of Swords right here because it's not what she wants. It's not what she wants to hear. Hey, Lucy. Welcome. I kind of wish you caught me on a more lighthearted one, but it's fine. This feels like we will experience what we create. That's this energy with the magician and the sun. And these cards are actually numerologically like connected, right? Which is again why I love that they both share that holding up the orb thingy. Because 19 breaks down to a 10, which breaks down to a 1, and the magician is the 1. Since this is in Roman numerals with the XIX, there is sort of like a judgment energy that's taking place around the magician, where it's like the wheel of fortune can turn either way, right? Because 10 is the wheel of fortune. So X is the wheel of fortune, but 2X's is judgment. And this is that like the wolf that wins is the wolf you feed type of energy, where the wheel could turn either way. This is us experiencing our own creation. So it's almost like don't blame the divine if this doesn't work out, because this is on you. You had ample choice and opportunity, ample choice, time, and opportunity. You could have done it, but it's also about the things that we're blind to. If I had to, like, I wish I had that rune deck. Because honestly, if I had the rune deck, I would go for Hod. I would go for laeces, like what's hooded and the emotional bleed. And I would just see. I guess I don't need the deck, but I want another deck. I was actually going to pull the Mystical Dream Tarot to lay on top of these 3 paths. And I still want to do that, but I want to clarify with a different deck. But I don't know if I have one that works with it. I'll try for the Tarot Apocalypsis. 1 second. Oof. Tarot Day. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, I guess I'm not using the Tarot Apocalypsis. I looked at this deck and I did not want it. I looked at this deck and I was like, nah, I'm not going to go for it. And then it just like failed. So I guess I'm going for it. The Threads of Fate. You dreamt last night you were hooded. The rune deck that Russ is making, Eve. The Golden Thread rune deck. Like a surprise party? That can be fun. I also love that in the dream you just like trust it, right? And I think that's what that came up recently. It's like sometimes last night, sometimes our need for clarity before we move can get us to allow the very things that we wish for to pass us by. And we only recognize it in hindsight. We only recognize it after it's gone. But there was something within us that told us to go for it. We just couldn't for whatever reason. So what is hooded? Okay. And what is the emotional bleed here? I feel like there's 3. If 3 cards come out, I'll take them. What is the emotional bleed here, please? I'm just going to keep shuffling until they give me a card. Me neither. Ever since the first Rune Raker, I've been waiting for this deck to be fit. I'm like, come on. I was actually going to rake the 3 Moon Rune. You hate to be hooded and led somewhere? I think it She did. She had a hooded dream, and I used the wild unknown tarot animal spirits to break it down, and I may have put something on top of it. And her dream, what it broke down to, I remember there was the moth, the Six of Wands, and Judgment, which was all about growth and transformation that happens in the light and that happens in the dark. And then it was this energy of how there's part of the journey that is sort of like influential, part of the journey where we learn from others, and then we have to, it's an opportunity for us to apply certain things in a more like isolated situation. While on the other hand, it was like sort of dealing with the day to day life, dealing with the natural progression of things, with those two different paths that culminated in the Two of Pentacles, I think. And then there was the one that was the elk. It was the tiger, the elk, and the starfish. And that was all about growing the horns. Um, and then over here, it was this energy of, it was the high priestess, and the Five of Swords versus the devil and the Seven of Cups, maybe? Or the, I'm trying to think. But yes, Remy had the dream about being hooded. Yeah, see, it felt very secure and trusting. I love that. I love that you can trust it. The warrior is at the bottom of the deck. The seeker, the seeker is the emotional bleed. It feels like this emotion, like this is us reaching for peanuts. That's what that is. You pulled some wild unknown and it led on a rabbit hole to Avalon, which is interesting. Avalon has been popping up. Do 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 do. Excuse me. But it was this energy of like, are we going to work through what we need to work through to get what we want, or are we just going to keep like whatchamacalliting it? Speak truth. Speak truth is what's hooded. The emotional bleed is the seeker. See, yeah, and I feel like this is literally the Seven of Wands, Ace of Swords energy right here. It's like we want these truths that they kind of lack substance. They're like easy to accept, they're easy to work with. We're seeking truths that already align with what it is that we believe, which is again that energy of a confirmation bias. And so we never challenge ourselves to grow. And that's the Seven of Wands energy. We hold our ground against any advancement. We fight the truth because we don't like it. And it takes me all the way back to Orobas, that harsh truth that we don't face. And so because we don't face that harsh truth, or those harsh truths, we kind of sort of keep repeating. But okay. Who this? Oh, it's 10:31. I have this app on my phone that I never use, but I don't delete either. I feel like it just got a lot lighter. Maybe it didn't. And I don't know what it used to. I feel like it used to be like get your daily login bonus, but now it says, and I noticed it months ago. I love you not only for what you are, but for what I am when I am with you. And I'm like, that is such a random like what. And honestly, I kind of like it, so that's why I keep it. I was just like, what? I'll put these down here because these are the shadows of the Yggdrasil that we have to water, right? Watering your personal Yggdrasil. Oh, look, 2 hands here, 2 hands here. And they could both be receiving. But it feels like it's also about giving. And the King of Cups knows that. We have to give in order to receive. And the Queen of Wands, she only wants to receive. Is that Flights? Hey, Flights 963. That's what this is. And then the Warrior on the side. Again, it feels like this energy of us fighting the very truths that we wish to sort of manifest. So the water is here for this plant. The water is here for the tree. But it's like it doesn't have the gases that it needs. Like if this is a plant that needs, if it's a plant that needs nitrogen, then it's like there's no nitrogen in the soil for the plant. Like it hardly gets any sunlight. And it's like because the gases aren't there and because the sun isn't there, it's almost like any water you give this thing and it'll be overwatered. And so this also feels like an energy that like it washes out like fairly quickly, maybe fairly often. And I guess whenever the messages get like this, it's because we're coming into an energy of so much of what we want. But again, like with this Queen of Wands, it's like we spend so much time wishing and hoping and manifesting, and not everyone, not always, right? If it doesn't resonate for you, don't take it. Or if you've already worked through this, then hello, right? But it's like sometimes we spend more time desiring and wishing and manifesting and trying to find our way to the thing that we never actually get going. And so when it comes for us, we miss it. And then again, like when it's behind us, we recognize it for what it was. And then we feel even worse, right? It fuels its own sort of toxic, emotional, self worth, self deprecating cycle. Wait, what's the wrong season? It feels like we're coming into the right season, but it feels like there were probably also things that we needed to work on in order to claim what it is that we desired. And depending on if we were working on it or not, then I don't know. This could also be an opportunity that calls more from us than we're able to give. Because again, there was this stuck energy here between fighting these truths that it's like fighting these things that you don't want to be true. And so nothing you speak is ever truth because you fight the truth. And you seek like pennies and peanuts and oh, okay, gotcha. The lack of air and fire to grow. Yeah. Okay, so one card for boom. The 9 of Wands. Ooh, one card for okay. This side, please. The Pillar of Mercy. The 5 of Swords. And one for the middle. The 8 of Pentacles. Bottom of the deck is the World. I love that the World came out because I saw the World card here and I couldn't take it because I already had my 2 majors. See, look at this. Here's another open embrace. Kind of sort of like with that Two of Coins energy. Kind of sort of. And then the Seven of Cups is behind it. So the Nine of Wands. See, this feels like an energy, again, it feels like an energy that will claim. It comes off as really entitled. But it's an energy of something that will claim and claim and claim, like, I deserve this and 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 this, and like, look how much I've done. Meanwhile, this child is like trying to get something to eat, like trying to get its attention. There's something that we're not nourishing. We feel like, we've done all of this, but what has it really done to nourish us? Not much. Over here, this Five of Swords is interesting because it feels like an energy that was in the Five of Swords, right? And so it's like, so the King of Cups is sitting at this end of the table, and everyone's like, oh, tell us the story again of how you did this and how you did that. It's like each one of these swords is a different triumph that this king has overcome. And he's like, doing his bard song and entertaining the crowd, right? Look at the dude celebrating in the back. Like, this is one of the least contentious Five of Swords cards I've ever seen. And the Five of Swords has come to be, it's this space of challenge. When the divine goes silent, but it goes silent in order for us to step forward. It's like they step back for us to step forward, because if they're always there, it's like if the training wheels are always on, we'll never learn how to ride the bike. And like learning to ride the bike is like step one before you get to like the rest. So there's something beyond the bike. Like the bike is the training wheels for something else beyond that. And so it's like, we'd never be able to ride the other thing if we still need training wheels just to ride the bike. It's like we need training wheels for the training wheels. And the Eight of Pentacles in the middle, again, it's a recognition. Thank you, word. It's recognition of the amount of work that it has. It's recognition of the amount of work it takes. But it's like, well, it takes this much work because of what you've been through, because of what you've experienced, and because what the nature of experience has been on Earth. Plus, this Eight Pentacles with this two gives us the Ten of Pentacles. 10 Pentacles and 10 Cups. 7 Wands and an Ace of Swords. Oh, here's a 6. So there's a 6 of Swords now here, which is about movement, right? Because again, this energy, it integrates these truths and it moves forward. That's how it balances these. It balances with a certain truth that this energy fights. The 9 plus the 7 of Wands is 16. That's a Tower of Wands energy. And it's also this energy, it's like, it's so Wands heavy that it's gone even beyond the King of Wands. It's gone even beyond the Queen of Wands. But it's like, it hasn't necessarily grown to reflect all of what it's been through. There's an energy where it still repeats. And maybe that's what this World card is. We experience our creation. This is all us experiencing our creation with the Magician and the Sun. And the Magician is the one actually like holding up the thing to shine the light down. I kind of wished it would be, happier, but what can I do? Let's get some encouragement. I could use the Universe Has Your Back cards because all the messages are nice. Oh, come on. And I'll pull a Wisdom of Lord Ganesha too. The wisdom of Lord Ganesha used to be my go-to for like, I don't want to leave this like this, but I also don't know what to say besides like just do it. And I feel like just do it isn't really helpful. Um, Even though no matter what's said, eventually we end up just doing it. But sometimes we need to be encouraged to do it. Hey Brianna, how are you doing? Sometimes we need that encouragement. Can we get some encouragement, please, Lord Ganesha? Or the wisdom of, okay, I'll take them. Maybe. We'll see. Ooh, blessings is at the bottom, number 44. And we've seen that card before. It was blessings and something else that I don't remember. Sorry. Am I going to read all of these? Oh, wait. I didn't see this. I didn't see this card come out, so I'm not taking these. Just kidding. Perseverance is there, though. Perseverance came out, too. So we have childlike expression, number 12. And then we have the blank card. I just finished that fig tree video. It feels like this is that energy that's like us writing the story. And I feel like in some ways we're constantly recreating our story. We're constantly creating our story. Sometimes we choose to recreate that which we've already experienced that we don't necessarily like. But the childlike expression is hopefully us coming into this energy where we can create something that satisfies it. I also love that childlike expression is here with like all of this. Yeah. Okay. Because in the Nine of Wands, it was this energy of like, you do so much, but you're not nurturing or nourishing the child in any way. But in childlike expression, like there's a whole bunch of like food around it and stuff, right? You're a growing child. You need food. Yeah. We are going in the right direction overall, like very, very, very much so. Very, very, very much so in the right direction. It just feels a little harsh, I guess, the way I'm delivering it. But I'm not gonna, you know. In truth, every soul exists. In truth, within every soul exists an aspect known as the inner child. You can champion your inner child's emotional life by listening carefully to what you need and want in your own heart. You may not have been taught to give up your own desires. Sorry, if I can read this. Maybe I shouldn't read this because I can't read. I'm mixing it all up. I'll try. If I mess up again, I'll just stop. I'll just stop. It doesn't feel like it's supposed to be read, right? We know what the inner child is like. We know childlike expression. A lot of people, I feel like if you found me, I'm not the first person that you find, right? So I'm assuming that you know some stuff. I'm also assuming that you probably know stuff that I don't even know because it happens frequently enough. Every now and then I get the, I don't know what that is, but if it resonates for you, then go with it, right? And I mean it because I don't know about it. This takes me back to Kissy Cat's dream. Words are difficult. Because it feels like here are all the blessings that are promised to us. Here are all the blessings that we feel, but we don't know how to get there. But the key to getting there is nourishing ourselves, nourishing our inner child, and giving our inner child the space to grow into an inner adult, right? Into an energy that's capable of interacting with the world, but still maintaining its, I don't want to say youth or innocence, because it's not that it's necessarily innocent, but it maintains its glow. I like that. It interacts with the world in a way that maintains its glow. And it's something that we become. It's not something that like you hear about or you read about and then all of a sudden it's like it works for you. Right? Like I wish life was as easy as this is what I recognize as Matthew, hey. Okay, I'm gonna actually look this up because I know you sent me the Inner Flight song. And you sent me that Inner Flight video, and I actually enjoyed it. I was like, that's cool. I need to look all these up. I forget. Hey Matthew, how you doing? Um, there we go. Oh, oh, I guess I don't need the. There we go. I'll listen to that after this. Yes, I'm glad to hear it. It is that sense of childlike wonder. It's a sense of childlike wonder. It's a sense of childlike amazement. And it feels like maybe not everyone because our experiences differ, but it feels like the energy of a child is able to experience something and still be open to the experience. It's able to experience one thing but still hold space for the potentiality of experiencing something better in some ways, rather than like, oh, I had this once and I didn't like it, so I'll never do it again. And it's like, well, maybe it was out of season, like maybe like your taste buds have changed since then, maybe this, maybe that, maybe a million different things. um, and in a way, these almost feel like this is the Nine of Wands, and the cards very much so remind me of Persephone and the moon. I think it's like these are pomegranates that are placed up on these staves, out of the reach of the child. And so the child needs the adult to reach up and bring them down to nourish this child. And the pomegranate for me, it can carry an energy of rebirth because the pomegranate is the only fruit that grows in the underworld. It's like the only thing that grows in the underworld. And it feels like, once we've gotten enough substance in our spirit, then we become physical again. It's like everything else that you eat, just like it passes right through you. It doesn't build you up in any way. And so everything of like nutritional value is outside of the reach of our inner child. And that's how we help it grow. It's also like we teach our inner child in those moments, just like you teach real children, right? Real children. Just like you teach any other child. It learns. And some of them learn more based upon what they observe from you. And so if you don't treat yourself well, if you're not kind to yourself, then your inner child is like going to do the exact same thing. And so you have to model behaviors that you want your inner child, your inner aspects to embody. We literally create it. And it is like there's a part of it that's already made. And so we don't necessarily create that inner aspect. What we do is we create the vessel that it grows into, more or less. And that's like the essence versus the soul. That's how much of our pure soul light that we can embody in our like vessel, right? That's what we create. So anyway. Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, I don't know, it's like don't be afraid. For me personally, I've experienced enough regret and disappointment in my life at the things that I didn't do that it's like I'm at least going to try. I'm at least going to show up and give it some kind of effort. At the very minimum, some effort. On my better days, even more. Because I know what regret and disappointment and like missed opportunities are. And I'd rather try and fail than to just not show up because I've done the not showing up thing for me personally. And for you, it could be different. But for me, it's just like, I've experienced one thing and I know I want to experience something different. And if I want a different experience, sometimes it's going to require me to do things a little bit differently or to go about things in a different way. It's going to require me to maybe potentially, and it has in a lot of ways, it's required me to be open to a lot of things that I was previously like not open to at all. But the more open I've been, the more I've found that I can be open. There's so much that I enjoy now that I never would have imagined, that I never would have even given myself the opportunity to try, because I was like, oh, I don't like this. And people be like, well, have you ever tried it? And I'm like, no, and I don't have to try it to know that I don't like it. And I'm not going to try it. And then, later in my life, I'm like, oh my gosh, these things are amazing. Why didn't I do them years ago? And it's like, because that's who I used to be. And I was that person for a reason. And I decided to become a different person for a reason. And I'm happy with that choice. It definitely took time, but it was worth it to me. I found it to be very, very, very much so worth it. So that's this tree that we're dealing with, I guess. Yeah, I was looking at this Tree of Life card. I was like, I don't know what this is. What? But in the Pride Tarot, there's also a card that has like a built-in spread. It's the rainbow card. So I was like, I could do it that way. And the Chariot connects the King and the Queen. The Chariot connects the King and the Queen. Temperance connects the water and the fire, which makes sense. And then strength or justice. I kind of like both. Strength and justice connect the earth and the air. Because earth air is a polarity that's very like what is logical, what is feasible, right? Water and fire is that alchemical balance. Of like, balancing your emotions and your desires. But between the King and the Queen is the Chariot, and they have to both be on the same page if they want to make any movement for their kingdom like to not fall apart. So and it's also interesting that the Fool, so the King would be connected to the Magician, because I'm looking at the Roman numerals, right? So the 2K into the 1. There you go. There we go. The King is connected to the Magician through Fool energy. The Queen is connected to the Magician through Hermit energy. But if the Queen has these things within herself that are off limits, and it feels like with that Queen in particular, a lot of things are off limits, she only creates what she's already experienced, because she only goes in the places that are familiar and comfortable. But it feels like familiarity for the Queen is not comfortable. Okay. Ooh, the Ace of Coins. Look at this Atlas energy. Wow. I mean, according to the tree that was just pulled, it may not necessarily be your life. Take it as it resonates. It feels like masculine energy is literally holding the weight of the world right now. And it almost feels like that's the case because masculine energy is the only one that's really being pressured to grow. And masculine energy is being pressured to grow right now because of a lot of not great things that toxic masculine energy did. But it's like we're putting the burden of growth on masculine, which in a way keeps feminine energy stagnant, Because again, it's that like he should be doing this, he should be doing that. I'm gonna wait for him to get his act together because I've already done it, everything. But then like, the child is like starving, like pulling at the dress, like, can I literally have something to eat because I need food to sustain me? Bottom of the deck is the Queen of Cups. This Queen of Cups is interesting because she's like desaturated. You see that? She's like desaturated on one side. It feels like she's not as warm as she thinks she is. She's actually like pretty cold over here. And again, it's that energy of the things that she just does not permit herself the opportunity to explore. And so those things within her never grow. She puts the burden of growth onto something or someone else. And again, it's not to say that masculine energy doesn't have a lot to account for, as toxic masculine energy has been running rampant and setting laws and precedents and controlling narratives and things like that. But feminine energy also needs to grow. This moon energy today, it feels like the wolf and the dog, right? It may be a little harsh, but it's out of love. The moon is also feeling like a portal today. It feels like the moon is the portal because the sun would incinerate us. So we still get sunlight reflected from the moon, but it's like if you stare at a mirror, it's like the eclipse thingy, the eclipse viewer. If you have the mirror here and then the mirror there, then it's like that twice reduced effect of pure sunlight allows us to observe it and interact with it in a way where we're not just completely disintegrated. And that's why the moon is holding the portal. It holds a lot of the properties of sunlight without like burning you. You know what I mean? And so now under the Ace of Pentacles is the Seven of Cups with the Six of Coins under it. And that goes back to that Venus and Virgo energy, Venus and Scorpio energy yesterday, of whether or not, I think Cindy's birthday was yesterday. And I think like I went live last night and Cindy popped up and I didn't even say happy birthday. I think Cindy said her birthday was the 14th. Someone's birthday is on the 14th. Someone's is on the 18th. I think no, Steph is a Virgo, right? Virgo, Sun, Scorpio, Moon, and Rising. Dana's birthday may have been the 18th, maybe. It's some Leo's birthday, and I was like, I'm going to remember, and I completely forgot. So, Cindy, if you see this and your birthday was yesterday, happy belated birthday. If it was Brianna's is on the 19th, so happy early birthday to you, Brianna, because the way my memory is working right now, I might forget. To all the Leos, happy birthday. And especially to those who told me when y'all birthdays is. I'm so sorry I forgot. And someone had a daughter, I think, whose birthday is coming up. Or it could have happened because today is the 15th. Maybe. I can't remember. Eve, I think Cindy said her birthday was the 14th. I think. And she popped up last night. I just thought about it before I went live today when I typed 8:15. Ooh, determination. Well, this is what Lord Ganesha is bringing us for. Lord Ganesha's final card is determination. The bottom of the deck is understanding. Why do I keep doing that? Your late father's birthday is the 17th. Happy heavenly birthday to your father. See, that's the thing about life. And that's the thing about being human, honestly. It's like there is so much understanding for what we've experienced, for what we've gone through. But at the same time, unfortunately, it falls on us to do the work to put ourselves in a position to experience something new, or to curate a new set of experiences, a new suite of experiences. And we get assistance with that, right? But assistance is not doing it for you. It is. That's a really strong Lord Ganesha card. I was like, I want to get Lord Ganesha to be nice, and Lord Ganesha was nice. But it's like, but you still need to be like, it still requires determination. It's just how it is. No problem, Brianna. I actually wanted to put these cards. I love this deck. Maybe it's, I'm not going to blame the deck. This deck works with the side of my energy that's very much so like boom, 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 boom. Like for me, this is how I characterize my light. I characterize my light as like, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that, and you need to be doing the other thing if you want what you claim to want. Because if you don't do it, it's just going to pass you by again, and you've experienced enough of that, and you claim to not want to experience that anymore. So it's time for you to show up and do something about it. I'm like, wow. That's why for me, I characterize, and like my light can be compassionate as well. But when my light is like that, my shadow, my dark is like, but like we also understand how difficult it is, like actually living life. And you have been through things that are difficult. And so have grace with yourself, have compassion, right? They play polarities just like everything else, but that's just me, right? It may not, like the dynamic may not necessarily be the same for you. But it was my intention to allow, who is this? The King of Cups. The King of Cups was flipped over. What? Hello? This King of Cups energy is coming out a lot lately. No problem. For me, I don't know, in allowing both to be dynamic, I feel like it's actually led me a bit farther. Because sometimes the light can be searingly hot. Sometimes it can require, it can feel very demanding sometimes, without necessarily accounting for the actual experience. And it feels like the shadow can be overly concerned with everything that we've already experienced, to the point where it doesn't allow for us to experience anything new. And so it's the balancing of the two, and the flipping of certain polarities within that dichotomy, where the shadow can be, or the dark can be progressive, and the light can actually be a little bit like, maybe cool down a little bit. That's why we have fig trees to sit under for the shade. Now, if it's hot, it's going to be hot, but at least the sun won't beat down on you, right? So, thank you, Eve. Thank you. Okay, final card from the Tarot Apocalypse, please. I didn't even get to use the Mystical Dream Tarot. The Five of Pentacles. Bottom of the deck is the Four of Wands. I mean, what immediately comes to mind is like sometimes we kind of sort of, the Emperor is behind here. The 445. Oh, there's the moon. See? With that Hecate. No, this isn't Hecate. This is Persephone, I believe. There's a dog missing. If this is Persephone and there are dogs, it should be Cerberus. Cerberus has 3 heads. If it's not a multi-headed dog, then there should be 3 dogs, right? Where's the 3rd dog? I never noticed that before. Or is Persephone the high priestess? Hold up, let me check the book, because this might be Hecate and not Persephone. I think Persephone is the high priestess. Yeah, this is Hecate. Sorry, Soz, LOL, SOZ, LOL. But she Persephone today. I'm just. That's why the shadows are keys, or that's why the shadows hold keys. Because the shadows like grip our life in a way that light doesn't. They sort of represent or stand for self containment, self restriction. But anyway, this feels like an energy of like how we will sail beyond the very things that we manifest. It feels like this Four of Wands is an energy of like what we've prayed for, hoped for, wished for. There's this exchange between Anubis and Horus. There's this like from the other world into this world through the process of giving birth. It comes down, and here's this beautiful mansion full of all of blessings and stuff. But it's like we're sailing in the other direction because it's raining. It's raining in this card. And they seek the shelter of these leaves. I've never noticed that before. Can you see? It's raining. Yeah. And they seek the shelter of the leaves. They don't want to get wet. And it's that emotionally sort of avoidant type of energy that keeps us from like going in the direction of literally everything we've been asking for. And it's like it's dry over there. It feels like that's that King of Cups energy again. Because the King of Cups has like sort of like made it through that. It's developed a comfortability with its emotionality and emotions and stuff like that. And the King of Cups also understands that like if you want something organic to grow on Earth, it probably needs water. Because like almost everything needs water that is organic on Earth. Or a lot of things need water organic on Earth. There you go. And so if you're resistant to water, then you're also resistant to growth. Hey, look, there are the dolphins saying play. So, final card from this deck. How long have I been live? What's the runtime on this? Like an hour and a half? Oh, an hour and 17 minutes. That's not bad. Oh, look, there's the movement up. Death and movement. That's an energy. It feels like we've gotten everything that we can out of some cycles. And even if we're unfamiliar, again, it feels like our desires, our blessings lie in the realm of unfamiliarity. Unless you're already continuously experiencing blessings, then it's familiar for you, right? And it's probably like, keep on doing what you're doing. But if that's not the case, if you're not currently experiencing all that you wish to experience, then everything that you want is probably going to feel unfamiliar. And if you're more resistant to the unfamiliar than you are willing to do whatever you need to get what you want, then you'll probably miss out on a lot. And that's a choice, right? And it can be a little harsh to be like, that's a choice. But at the end of the day, it is. Because if you want something outside of your comfort zone, you're going to have to step out. Full energy. Last card from the... There we go. Thank you. 3 cards. I said I wanted 3. I said I felt that there were 3 emotional bleeds, 3 leeches. We'll see if these are leeches. I don't know. They might be. The first one is the Alchemist. The second one is the Revolutionary. The third one is the Sovereign. Wow. 3 cards from the ether element. The alchemist, the revolutionary, the sovereign. Oh, goodness. I want to see what bleeds these energies. Ah, it's fine. What is this? It's nothing. These are some powerful energies. And since I don't have the overhead light on today, you can actually see them. What? So I'm going to use the Ascendant edition of the Weaver Tarot. I'm actually going to timestamp this because this might be a thing. I'll say 120:30. I'll say 120:20. The three laeces. LAECE. Even though it's that like weird AE thing. Laeces. And then I'll probably go back and I'll timestamp when I started doing phone messages and stuff like that. Hey, Ariel. Hey, Torin. So, what is leeching this alchemist energy? Oh, gosh. This is the title card. So, what's leeching the alchemist energy? That we have to find out for ourselves. Darn it. So, I need title card energies. So, the High Priestess and the Moon are also going to be energies that I just don't go into. What's like a... Well, that's it. I have two more and I have two more. I don't need like 5 different cards. So if the High Priestess or the Moon comes out, then I will also bypass those. As I literally talked about how important it is for us to discover and experience things sometimes earlier, right? So, what is the leech for the revolutionary energy? I was going to pull like 2 or 3 cards too. The Eight of Swords and the Ace of Swords. So it feels like the leech, the emotional bleed for the revolutionary. It's this energy of like, there we go. There we go. It's this energy of things that we don't see. It's an energy of things that we don't see or that we don't know. It reminds me of this one anime that I watched. There was a revolution that was going on. There was an uprising going on in a country, and one of the heroes helps the rebellion to overthrow their king, and it plunged the country into a state of chaos. Those who worked to overthrow the old kings became the new kings, and because they did not have, when they were in that position, they almost became more greedy and more tyrannical than the king previously. And it was this energy because that character was confronted by another character. And it's like your actions actually led to a worse nation. And now there are refugees from that land in this one. And so it's like there are things that we just don't know, things that we wouldn't think to ask ourselves. And this isn't whatever it may be, it may sound like. But until you're in a position of governance, until you're in a position of leadership, it's like until you're a parent, then you may not necessarily know what it feels like to be in a situation where you don't know what to do, but you're responsible for the well-being of others. And so you make the best choice that you could, or the best thing that you know how to do, you do, and you hope for the best. And it feels like this Ace of Swords is a result, or it's closely tied to this Alchemist. And you can see why, right? Look at the hilt of the sword in the pommel stone, and look at the Alchemist. But we don't even know what the blockage, what the energy drainage for the Alchemist is. And so there's this block on Ace of Swords energy that we also don't even know. It feels like there's a drain on the thing draining this energy. And since it's tied to the Alchemist, I'm not going to dig any further into it. No problem, Torin. I hope I'm saying your name right. But it's this energy. It's like things aren't necessarily as... It's just this energy. It's like it's really easy to say what should be done when you're not in a position to actually make decisions and choices. In a way. And that's not in any way specifically. That's just in general. It's just for us to maybe take a moment of pause before we decide to go against something, because it may actually lead to more trouble. Unless you're prepared. If you're prepared, then, by all means, go ahead. What is the leech? The emotional drainage. Oh, this one actually came out. It's the Star. This one is interesting. This one, responsibility is a double-edged sword. Very much so. And it's one that I don't necessarily want, but excuse me, I have to get over my aversion to responsibility, because the type of things that I want to do, where I want my life to go, it actually involves responsibility. And so if I'm responsibility averse, then for me personally, it's like, well, how am I going to get where I want to go? How am I going to live that lifestyle that I want if I don't want any responsibility? So I'm getting over it. I'm getting over it. And I actually just made that connection. So thank you, Kizzy Cat, for saying that. Oh, gosh. Now I feel like I'm about to be given responsibility. I need to remember this. There's this interesting energy here with the Sovereign. And I'm just going to say how I'm getting it. The emotional or the energetic bleed towards sovereignty it's like it's diluting. There's this need, it's like a need to put out the fire instead of letting it become the star, right? It feels like this is the natural path. This is the creation cycle of a star, right? There's this third eye with wings and a fire, and it's very like hot air balloony, right? And so we go higher and higher and higher, but then something kicks in and we start to put out the fire. And so we never actually become this star. It's like we go a little bit and then we drop, and then we go and then we drop. And it doesn't necessarily feel like it's a part of the natural progression. It doesn't feel like it's a part of the birth cycle of a star. This feels like interference, but it feels like us interfering in our own journey in a way. for in whatever way. There's this, it feels like we may think that using water to put out the fire is temperance, but it's not. It's dousing the fire. It's not bringing fire and water into balance when you put out the fire, right? There's a need to reapproach how we view temperance here in whatever way in order for us to actually become the sovereign energy. And yeah, I mean, me too, because I want to do a lot, but I want to have to do not a lot. So it feels like this is a very difficult space to manage because of what I said here, right? When you're used to being governed, and when you hold feelings of being governed like oppressively or restrictively, then it's like when you become sovereign, there are things that you do differently. It also feels like with this Eight of Swords, Ace of Swords, especially in the context of this and in the context of the revolutionary, but more so in the context of the sovereign, we may not see how we do the very things that we didn't like when we were under rule and under governance. We may not see how we perpetuate the same energies. And maybe that's also what the star is doing. Maybe if these are the hands of the divine, then it's helping us to see how we do the very same thing that we don't want done to us, like we do it to others in a way. Or it's like when we go from one system to another system, we may not see how similar restrictions are placed on us, but it's done in a way, at least in the beginning, that we are more open to in some way. So kinda Kizzy Cat, but it feels like the energy of a camel is more combative. Not that it's aggressive, but it's like we carry the water inside because the fire outside is so hot. And so it doesn't really put them in a framework of working together. It puts it in a framework of like, we carry this because of that. And I guess like if we look at the word temperance, that's kind of sort of what it means. So let's go back to this alchemist. If we look at the alchemizing energy of temperance, then it's like, how can we use fire and water together to create something new or to create something useful? And it feels like camel energy is like, you know, putting out like not too much fire, so we have this much water. Yeah. And it feels like in one way, I feel like sometimes I do a little bit of like semantics and mental gymnastics or spiritual mental gymnastics. But it feels like there's a level of mastery that's coming forward. And I feel like that's another reason why the alchemist has this blockage that we don't even know. Because it's like there are so many fine threads with belief. And I remember when, so Rob went live, and even in one of his videos, thank you, Kizzy Cat. I try. I can be sometimes. Thank you. I need to just take the compliment. Thank you, Kizzy Cat. It was when Rob was talking about portals and certain days and astrological alignments. And on one hand, it could be said that a day or an alignment or a portal doesn't bring anything significant on its own. But if we account for the power of belief, and I was thinking because of that, I was actually thinking about this, yesterday or the day before. If we account for the power of belief, then believing the day as magic gives it more magic. And if it's a day that other people also believe in, or if it's an event or an occurrence that other people believe in, then it pools belief and it actually gives it even more potential. And so it's almost like we create these. It's not the case, but it's like if we have 100 potential, then it's like we put like 50 potential here and 30 potential there and 10 potential here. And then we have like 10 potential to spread out over the other days, right? And potential is like an infinite energy. We have more than that. But again, it's something about subtleties in belief. And so what I was thinking about is like conduits for belief, right? Almost like a placebo effect. But it's like if there's something that we can channel our belief into, then it almost becomes a part of that like clothing of shifting experiences. It almost becomes an energy similar to one of an energy mantle, but instead of us putting on the mantle of a higher energy, we channel our belief into something that we then pick up with an intention. Like Thor's hammer. It's a tool that serves a purpose, or we channel purpose into it. And so it allows us to do something. And I'm the type of weirdo that's like, oh, like, let me take this piece of paper, right? And let me pour into this piece of paper my belief that whatever I write on it will come to be. And so if there's anything that I need, right? Anything that I feel like I'm not capable of making happen within myself with my current resources, and I write it on this piece of paper to open up a potential for that to happen, right? I'm the type of person that's like, oh, like, if I know that belief does this, let me play with belief, right? Because it is always what it is. But as humans, sometimes it's easier for us to channel more energy into something if we have it tied to something else. So, yeah. And like then maybe we can figure out a way to do it every day instead of just having it be some days. I don't know. The power of belief is also immense. So that's one of the things that makes life and earth a lot more tricky. It's the power of belief and the intricacies of it. So anyway, I was supposed to be getting one final card, but that's fine. That's fine. It led into something else. And today I have the time. I need to practice being awake for 12 hours just in case I'm on these 12-hour shifts. But there's another position that's 8 to 5. The 8 to 5 position I am capable of doing. I have more internal resistance to it. I feel like it requires more from me than the other position. But again, I've already declared to myself and to my universe that I am not going to be the bottleneck. I am not going to be the limiting factor. And the other position, it has a schedule that works better, honestly. And it holds more growth opportunity for me. Probably just not only because of the fact that I'm less comfortable with it, but so I psych myself up too, and whenever I get too down on myself, my shadow, my darkness actually comes in, and it's like, you promised me better life. Like that's like, this is how it plays out within me. It's like you promised me better life. That's why I'm no longer working against you. You promised like all parts of me, like a better life, right? And I take my shadow with me. I don't leave it. I don't abandon it anymore. So sometimes my shadow is like, okay, we're going to be getting this together. And I feel like my shadow comes in to encourage me in a way that's very different than how my light encourages me when I'm afraid to step into my light, when I'm afraid to expand, when I'm afraid to grow, when I don't want to be seen. My shadow's like, okay, well, you said we'd be doing better. You promised me better. So we're doing this. If I'm working with the light, you're most definitely stepping into your light. So, pal. Seeker of Coins. I don't know why this is up here now, but sure, I'll flip the camera. Why not? That's just how things work in my little twisted corner of the world. Oof, maybe I should have. Yeah, I'm going to change this back, actually. I'm going to change this back. And I love that, Eve. I don't know if I commented on it, but I love it. And I had it's been a magical few days. Anyway. All right, focus down here, please. Oh, wait, there we go. Focus down here, please. There we go. The Seeker of Coins came out. I actually love the Seeker of Coins in this deck. Bottom of the deck is the Eight of Swords. The thing about the Seeker of Coins that I love in this deck is that there is this wisdom symbolized by the tooth, but we also need to find the way to apply it to get it to unlock on Earth what it is that we want in a physical way. Seeker of Coins, this is literally the energy of the Page of Coins that we saw earlier. And it's all about learning to use the different elements in a way to nourish what it is that we want to grow. And what we're growing is our experience, is literally our life in many aspects, if not every aspect. That's why like Earth energy is so, I feel like that's why it's so fixed. It's because it takes a lot to move it, but at the same time, it doesn't take much of anything. Because all you got to do is tend to it. A little bit here, a little bit there. Especially once you get into the flow of tending to something, right? I feel like if it's your first plant, then you may freak out like, oh, what if it's not getting enough water? What if it's not getting enough this? It's like, when you're a beginning farmer, then there's a lot. But once you get into the swing of things and once you learn how your crop, how your life, how your universe speaks to you, then you can handle things as they arise rather than being like hyper vigilant, right? So those were the 3 bleeds that I felt earlier, I guess. Oh, look, there's a thing of compassion. So, one card, final card from the Weaver Tarot, the Threads of Fate Oracle cards. Thank you. Who was that? It's compassion. Bottom of the deck is movement. I actually love compassion and movement. It feels like compassion allows for greater movement and for greater momentum. Sometimes, especially if this is for self, it's like sometimes we can be harsh on ourselves or a little harder on ourselves because of how things played out in the past. Sometimes we can be overly focused on not repeating things. Sometimes we can put additional pressure on ourselves because we don't want to experience whatever it is that we've already experienced. But it feels like if there's a certain compassion and a certain grace in there, if it's like if we give ourselves grace, if we talk to ourselves in a way of like, it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay if you don't know what to do. And like, if you make a mistake, we'll fix it. We'll clean it up. And we're not going to beat ourselves up. We're not going to start playing the guilt, blame, and shame game. We're just going to give ourselves compassion. We're going to give ourselves understanding, and we're going to keep moving forward. And it feels like it eases a lot of pressure, and it feels like it reduces a lot of resistance that puts us in a position in a state to receive even more. And it's something that we build within self. And it's something that we continuously give to self, just like we continuously give love and compassion to other people, right? And it feels like compassion actually holds so much momentum behind it. And maybe that Queen of Wands, it's like there are certain things that she wishes to avoid. Maybe she doesn't want to make the wrong choice and the wrong decision. And so she goes for what she already knows. But it's like if that Queen of Wands can give herself grace, if that Queen of Wands can give herself permission and allowance to make mistakes or to not make the right choice, and if that Queen of Wands I feel like sometimes I'm like, I say like, trust your work, or like, do you trust your work? Do you trust your healing? Um, but if the Queen of Wands takes a moment to reflect and realize that who she is now is not who she was in the past, then she would also maybe begin to understand that even if past situations were to occur, even if past, I want to say pretenses, are past precursors to certain situations, even if she were to experience those now, she's a completely different person. And so it wouldn't unfold in the way that it unfolded in the past. With more self worth, with more self love, with more compassion, with more of an awareness and understanding, with more self that has been explored, with more increased awareness of self. It's like we can make different choices and different decisions, and we can operate and move and navigate similar situations in very different ways because, again, we're not who we used to be. And so we don't have to worry about like falling prey to those previous cycles. It's like it's not going to happen. And if it begins to happen, there's that awareness now where you'll pull yourself out of it. So it's like you don't have to worry about making a mistake, really. And if you do, it's part of the learning process. You're human, right? So, and it feels like when she integrates that, that's what gets the whole thing to work. And now it's like one of those things where your plant, it's like, I've been caring for it and I've been doing this and I've been doing that. It's like first it grows and develops internally, and then it grows and develops like externally once it breaks that surface. Once it germinates, I think that's the word for when they like break the surface for the first time. That's when you see the first sprout, and then it feels like once it starts to grow, like it'll grow quicker than you expect, quicker than you may think. It feels like since you've changed, the environment that you find yourself in also changes. And it reminds me of something Russ said yesterday. He told me it's like because you love you, everyone else can. And it feels like a similar energy. So the more you put yourself in a better position, the more you align to experiencing better around you as well. So Yeah. And I'm saying this just as much for me as I'm saying it for anyone else who needs to hear it. Because trust me, I'm not going to allow this opportunity to pass me by. But there is still a lot within myself that I'm like kind of sort of internally. Honestly, I'm not freaking out the way that I would have used, like that I would have freaked out in the past. Also, right now, I'm like, well, I'm not actually there. So, like, right now, I'm just interviewing. It's not necessarily guaranteed, even though it feels super aligned. Um, but it's just like, I'm not going to allow that to stop me. So I coach myself through it. And then again, because like the way that I've interacted with things, because the way that I've approached things has changed over the years, there are parts of me that come to the surface to reassure me. In addition to the lovely, lovely community of people who like y'all on here, some of my friends, it's like that encouragement, it's there as well. And it works with those parts of me. Because the old Patrick used to be like, the old Patrick was a mess. Just very stubborn and not going to move in any way that he did not want to move. And it didn't matter what somebody else said or how gorgeous or how loving and supportive other people were. If Patrick didn't want to move, Patrick didn't move. So, I've been there. Which may be one of the reasons why I appreciate the wisdom and knowledge and guidance and experience of those who share it with me. In a way, like solicited or not, I appreciate it. Especially when it comes from a loving place. You know what I mean? If it's like oh, well, this didn't work for me, so it's not going to work for you. I'm like, okay, well, we're different. So just because it doesn't work for you doesn't mean it's not going to work for me. Or just because it worked for you doesn't mean it's going to work for me because we're different people. Anyway. Thank you. I like this. I feel like it reached a point by the end where I feel comfortable with it. And again, it's this energy. It feels like so much is available right now. It just might require us to be a little uncomfortable, to grow, to stretch a little bit. And again, it doesn't necessarily feel like something that we have to be super concerned about doing intentionally. It feels like the opportunities will come in. It'll come to us. Things will come to us, or it will be dropped to us. We'll get a nudge, we'll get an inkling, we'll get a feeling to put a domino in a place, to just sit one domino here, maybe to sit a domino there, and then the universe will align itself to put dominoes in between. And then there's this whole chain reaction. And it's like, since you were in place where you were felt to be in place, again, no matter how big or how small, for me, it was literally just like, I'm going to upload, like I'm going to create an account on Indeed instead of just browsing. And I'm going to upload my resume. I didn't even finish my profile. I didn't even finish the profile. I uploaded my resume and I was like, this is a lot. I'm not doing this tonight. And it still worked for me. It's like, we got to do something. It's like it gives the it's like the wheel of fortune is like a train and it moves on a track. So we're sort of like laying the track, and then God, universe, spirit is laying other pieces of the track. And then as long as we keep up with the momentum, and again, give ourselves that grace and compassion and understanding, then we allow it to keep flowing. I feel like I've already said that, but I wanted to reiterate it for whatever reason, because I really do believe and feel that so much is coming. But I also, for myself, I know what it feels like to receive opportunities that I worked for that I'm not ready to receive. And so I let them go. I've been there for a while. I was there for a while. And sometimes I worked really, really, really hard for opportunities that I just didn't end up taking because of fear. I was too afraid. But anyway, I hope you all have a good whenever you see this, and I hope you have a better one soon. Even if you're having a great one now, I hope that you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality, and I hope that whatever you need you find in whatever way you need it. And I will catch you all later. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I'm just kidding. All right, I'll catch y'all later.